It's date night. Get your shovel. I never really find a good sound effect of a guy getting hit in the head with a shovel.
The Opie and Anthony Show.
Yes, he did. Dusty Rhodes talks like a lot of women are fucked. Just like this really weird kind of dumpy white trash girls.
Yeah.
You know, like they're like, 12 pounds overweight, 15, maybe 30.
I mean, all right, so that's...
Sweetie, what's happening over there?
No, I'm not panicking. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but the Keith Olbermann thing...
That guy's great. I freaking love him.
He really is just a pompous douche, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
That's what it is.
I think so. You can tell by the way he responds on Twitter.
He's making believe he's just playing with our listeners, but it's so obvious that he's A, a pompous douche, and B, very, very bothered by the tweets that are going his way.
Of course.
And it was just a simple thing. We called him out on the whole Halloween costume thing yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think we handled it. Yeah, we took our shots, of course. That's what you do when you have a radio show. But we also were hitting them with some intelligence about the whole issue.
Well, he's one of those guys who just has, he's the guy when it comes to black-white issues. He's the guy who always wants to see white people get in trouble for racially inappropriate, regardless of why they're doing it. That's the guy he is. Right.
But we called him out for kind of being dishonest because he was talking about the tasteless Halloween costumes that you're going to see this year. And I said it, and it popped up yesterday afternoon, the Ebola costumes. They are happening. You can get an Ebola costume for your Halloween party this Friday night. And basically, we pointed out the fact that, tasteless Halloween costumes have always been, and it doesn't make you a shitty person if you decide to dress up in a tasteless Halloween costume. In a way, it's accepted, to dress up like that for a Halloween celebration. And it doesn't make you a shitty parent. Like he showed these parents that were dressed up like Ray Rice and his now wife.
Right.
And because they dressed up like that, he wanted child services to be called immediately and to get the couple in trouble as far as, raising kids. Like, he knows the difference between the two. Just because you dress up in a tasteless Halloween costume doesn't mean you're a bad parent. And that's a major stretch. So we pointed all that out to him.
And we were nasty about it. And it's fine that we were nasty about it because it's like, how about you take some responsibility for what you did as a broadcaster, meaning him, to help further that story and make it big in it, which I'm not even saying it was wrong to talk about. It was a huge story. Mm-hmm. But every year, the big stories, racial or not racial, it's irrelevant. They become the Halloween costumes. Right. I had a back and forth with a guy on Twitter. It's only a couple of tweets, a black guy, but this is how I had said something about anybody outraged over Ray Rice Halloween costumes. And this guy wrote back, he said, I disagree with your take on blackface. Black people complain when the images are distasteful or racist. Tropic Thunder was loved. He's a black guy.
Right.
At least according to his Twitter. You never know. And I wrote, I know, and so was Soul Man. I'm talking about when it relates to Halloween costumes, which are purposely tasteless.
Right.
And then he wrote back, people, sorry to not be prepared with this. It's like clockwork. Someone will put on blackface and laugh at black tragedy. There will be a Mike Brown costume. And then I wrote back, people dressed like James Holmes after the theater shootings. Mm-hmm. The most exploited stories get the most attention on Halloween. And then he wrote back, hold on. God damn the thought of me. I can't find it. What a lousy broadcaster. Then he writes back, oh, that's fair. Didn't see it.
Oh, really?
Like, okay, hadn't considered that.
So the question...
Just a nice back and forth.
Of course. Arguing a point.
You don't always need the white knight to step in and think... It was racist and it was used to subjugate African American. We know that, dummy. Mm-hmm. And if somebody was using it in a movie now, and the whole movie was just mammy jokes,
right?
Okay,
there is a difference.
There's a huge difference because we all know on Halloween, because there was James Holmes costumes, there were costumes of 9/11, like the towers with planes crash. Every year, people try to out tasteless themselves.
Right.
So it's not about race. It's about Trayvon was black and he was shot. You think they wouldn't have done little dead kid costumes or Daniel? Of course they would have.
Right.
People don't give a fuck about that.
Right.
It's a major news story. So they think, hey, let's be that for Halloween and get the big laugh or shock people.
There are times someone dresses in blackface, they're absolutely trying to be racist or are racist.
Yeah.
But there's also times you can, dress in blackface and you're not trying to be racist.
No, if you're trying to look like someone because that's the costume. Like, didn't they give that one girl shit because she dressed like someone from Orange is the New Black, like a character?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like if you're in a costume and you're genuinely trying to look like someone for Halloween.
Right.
Well, sorry.
You can't ignore,
that's what you have to do.
You can't ignore the fact that the person's black that you're trying to dress up like.
No.
It doesn't mean you're racist.
There's a difference between that and doing a minstrel show in the 50s.
Sure.
A huge difference. And your intent.
Sure.
And if you're making fun of Trayvon or like, look, would I wear that as a Halloween costume? No.
Right.
But I get what it is. When you see people coming around with like someone sent me a picture of two little kids dressed like buildings, they each had a plane crashing into them.
Sure.
9/11's not funny, but you know what? That costume, it's a fucking good Halloween costume.
Right. And
it's shitty, but it's good.
And it's been my point yesterday, one of my points was it's been part of our culture for a very long time. Yeah. The pregnant nuns. I mean, you can go right down the line, all the ones you've seen over the years.
Yeah.
And they do hit the big news stories and go with that. So Keith Olbermann, basically, what did he say yesterday? What was his first tweet? He said apparently... I didn't really follow along with this, to be honest with you. I hit him with a couple tweets, and then I went out to dinner, and then I hit him with another one. I was like, whatever, dude. But he just deflects. Oh, he goes, evidently, Opie Radio without Anthony the racist. Wow. He's obsessing about that. Why don't you take that up with Anthony? Without Anthony the racist talked about me today. Here is their smartest fan. And then he retweeted SSTRUTZ88. You're a wash woman.
You're a wash.
I know that got to him.
But he used the wrong your.
Oh, no.
That was his...
Oh, no. Did he actually forget to apostrophe the R-E?
Y-O-U-R.
Well, that's, again, I know it's funny to mock someone for spelling something wrong when they're insulting you.
Right.
But then he's kind of proving the guy's point.
Yeah.
He's a washwoman?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we all make those mistakes on Twitter, especially if you're,
using Siri and
tweeting really fast and whatnot. Oh, boy, have I made a few of those mistakes over the years.
Yes.
So then I just said, okay, all right. So I wrote him. I just go, hey, Keith, 1, you failed to mention that tasteless Halloween costumes have been going on for a very long time. 2, it doesn't make you a bad parent if you choose to wear a tasteless Halloween costume. 3, and this is the most important point, I thought, domestic violence isn't funny, but jokes about domestic violence can be funny. And then I wrote, all 3 of these points. No, ? And then decided not to even acknowledge that I tweeted him, and then just went after every listener.
Yeah, he's just a douche. He's a douche.
And then later on, I just wrote, what did I write? There was one more I wrote. I don't know where it is. I basically said good deflection because he just kept attacking our listeners. I get good deflection, but are you going to acknowledge my points or not? And he did not.
There's no way you go from being on sports networks to being on a network like MSNBC where you're giving your genuine political opinions and ideologies and monologues, and then going back to sports where you're happy about it. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you spin it.
Right.
There's no way you go from there, and I don't know exactly what he did on Current TV.
But his whole idea was to launch this network. And obviously it didn't work because he's back on...
Which one, Current TV?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a whole lawsuit.
I don't even know where is he now?
ESPN 2.
ESPN 2.
I thought he was on Current.
No.
Oh, that failed.
That failed.
I swear to God, I have no idea because I don't watch Keith Olbermann. I'll see a clip every once in a while that pops into the headlines or whatever, but I did not know that. All right, so he's back on ESPN 2.
And he's trying to cover issues which are more like an MSNBC or a Current TV issue, which is whether it's the Halloween costumes or he loves when stuff like the Ray Rice thing happens because there's a chance to talk about more than sports.
Right.
But he probably feels like I get out of this world and I had this other show and I just couldn't make it last for whatever reason. Either he's too big of a dick to work with or I don't know. I have no idea why he's not there anymore.
And he's an intellect, so I hit him with some valid points, but he chose to just kind of keep it in the gutter, maybe because I made good points and I had him against the wall. I don't know. And decided to just beat up our listeners and then make fun of the fact that we've been on satellite radio for 10 years. Is this a bad place?
Well,
I mean, we've had our issues over the years, but I mean, as far as a broadcast outlet, satellite radio is a bad place to be.
Well, it's not quite Current TV.
But what is he talking about? Like,
I know Al Jazeera doesn't run satellite radio.
He'd have more respect for us if we were on regular radio. Is that what he was trying to say? But where is he?
ESPN2.
ESPN, I don't even know. It would take me probably a couple minutes to find ESPN2 on my cable outlet. So what is he talking about? We have a nice audience across America. This is a good outlet for broadcasters.
Nice. Enormous is the word. An
Thank
enormous
you, Sam.
audience.
I like when Sam chimes in with helpful facts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some of the Keith Olbermann tweets that just show he really, truly is a pompous douche.
And the listeners don't care if he's hitting them. Believe me, they don't. They
don't
enjoy
give
it.
a fuck.
No, they don't care if we hit them.
Oh my
Except
God,
they don't care about you.
Every time Keith Olbermann tweets, I start cringing because I know what that's going to mean to him. These guys don't let up. We're scared shitless of our audience.
Yeah. It's like he's got like this '80s insult thing. Good try there, Potsy.
Right. Keith Olbermann, you know you're supposed to dress as a monster, right? It's Halloween. You're such an asshole. And then Keith retweets that guy and said, not in blackface, no. And if you grow up, you'll spell it your. What is that? What?
It's just what a lady says.
Then then this guy writes, Keith, you're a dick. Attacking grammar on Twitter. Go back to white knighting, prick equality, prick. Oh, wait. Go back to white knighting, prick. Sorry. Equality is equality. It's not selective. Keith retweets him and says, "Your" in quotations, YOU''RE, and grammatical mistakes aren't trivial. They're why people assume you're a moron and your opinions are ignored. So then Larry from.
Hold on, his opinion wasn't ignored because Keith responded.
Of course. Larry CT. I know Larry CT. I see your tweets, Larry. Keith, so your way of responding to Opie Radio is to show one listener's poor grammar? A stare would envy that level of tap dancing. So then Keith retweeted him. All the Opie Radio listeners who've tweeted me have displayed bad grammar and 7th grade levels of scatologia.
Again, he's trying too hard to be the intellect. Wow, this guy's really above it. Again, I get on Twitter. I get annoyed. It's okay to be annoyed at people insulting you. No one likes it. But he's pretending that he's just smarter. Like, he's like this intellectual giant, just kind of shooing away the flies. No, you're not. You're sitting there in a tie doing this.
A lot of people hit him below the belt and insulted him, but the fact is I didn't insult him. I hit him with some real fucking points. That's all. And I stopped with that.
I think insulting him feels better, though, to be honest.
Yeah, it's fun to insult him, but there's also people that were hitting him with some highbrow shit as well, but he doesn't want to acknowledge that, Keith, Larry, Opie Radio. Okay, so this was Lorenzo. All right. MSNBC, Current TV, CNN booted your ass. Opie Radio has had the same job for 10 years, fucking loser. And then he retweets that. He said, same job for 10 years on non-broadcast radio? So Opie Radio couldn't get one better gig in 10 years? I pity him.
Wait a minute, isn't he that by that logic, he's on non-broadcast television?
Yes.
He's on a pay scale television. Cable is not free. It's a pay scale. It's a subscription-based thing. Yeah. Just like this.
Yeah.
So you're on non-broadcast television, and you've always been.
Look, I like to downplay it, but I've done extremely well for myself on satellite radio.
Physically, my body.
For the past 10 years. I've done extremely well, Mr. Olbermann.
Yeah, well,
extremely well.
And I've watched it. I mean, I've done okay. I've not done extremely well.
I can't think of where we would go. I mean, that was one of the dilemmas when everything went down. Where the fuck do we go?
Yeah.
And regular radio is a complete and utter disaster. They just don't want to do anything anymore. They just don't.
No.
You got to talk sports or politics or do pop music. That's it. They don't want any type of discussion anymore. Even their sports talk shows, they control tightly. Make sure they don't say anything crazy.
Well, he's with ESPN, and I've never seen a company who so quickly throws their own broadcasters under the bus. As far as for every single thing those guys say on ESPN, they immediately fire them or suspend them. Immediately, regardless of context, regardless of intent. They get a couple of letters or the wrong tweet, and they immediately penalize the broadcaster. So that's perfect for him.
Yeah.
That's where Olbermann belongs, in an environment where every broadcaster is being penalized for every misstep.
Right.
Because that's what he seems to enjoy.
So then after hours of this is just a few of the tweets. I finally wrote Keith back again. I said, nice deflection, because he was just deflecting all afternoon long. I said, do you want to address my tweets or not? ? And he chose not to. So whatever. I'm not gonna lose sleep over this. You know. I think it's kind of funny though, because he's acting like these tweets aren't bothering him. He's absolutely a pompous douche that is very bothered by your tweets. That is quite obvious.
And there are times where they don't get to you, and then once in a while that one or two sneaks through, and you're like, "Oh, God damn it!" That
happens to the best of us, doesn't it, Jimmy?
Absolutely. I get like 2 of them a day, and I'm like,
oh boy,
that's true.
Oh boy. Let's see. All right, let's say hi to Greg in D.C. Greg!
Gentlemen.
Hey.
Hello?
I just wanted to say, long-time listener. Yeah. Anyway, calling to let you know, I'm curious if by Keith Olbermann saying you cannot be Ray Rice, you cannot be topical, it's okay to dress like a mass murderer because they're cool.
I don't know what his logic is. I just know that, again, he was a part of the reason... And almost justifiably why that became such a big story. Mm-hmm. Those guys obsessed over Ray Rice. They obsessed over Adrian Peterson. They talked about nothing but that for weeks. And then when it becomes this massive story and people are going to dress like it for Halloween, oh, that's very tasteless.
Right.
It wasn't tasteless for the networks to show the video over
and over again.
And over and over. But it is tasteless to use that in Halloween when you kind of know that's what people do for Halloween. They just dicks on Halloween.
I was going to say, I kind of thought Halloween was when you were supposed to dress tasteless. Because as far as I know, there's not a single woman's costume out there that is tasteful.
Yeah, we've all as a culture we decided that's okay to dress like that for Halloween. Every fucking Halloween party you go to, everyone is just trying to outdo each other. They're just they're trying to be the most outrageous person at the party, and you're not thinking, twice about what that person is all about when he's not in that crazy Halloween costume. He's just going for that.
Yeah, well, again,
and he talks about the victim, Ray Rice's now wife. It's okay to make fun of the victim. I think that's even a stretch. And Jimmy brought it up yesterday. Then I guess we shouldn't be dressed as what was your example? Pirates. And I thought about what you said, and I thought of even a better one. You want to talk about victims, witches. Witches were victims back in the day.
Yeah, because they didn't even do anything wrong, and a couple of the little kids lied in Salem, and all these people are drowned because they were lied about and thought to be witches. And so basically, that was used to murder people in Salem.
They met horrible deaths. So following dumb Keith Olbermann's logic, then maybe we should ban witch costumes as well.
Well, this is why Olbermann's here. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, buddy. This is why Olbermann's annoying, because he says something like, "Well, you never thought it would get back to the victim, did you? Like about why would you do that Halloween costume?"
Right.
Well, you motherfuckers didn't think about it when you were obsessively showing the video.
Sure.
Did you think that she was going to turn TV on and see herself knocked out? No, you didn't care about that. You didn't care about that. And I mean the collective you as networks or as people on television. When you showed that over and over again, were you saying, hey, the victim might see this? We shouldn't. No, you didn't give a fuck. So stop it.
Yeah, you're being extremely hypocritical.
Silly goose. Forgive me.
Because the victim, Ray Rice's now wife, I always forget her first name. I
don't remember either.
Yeah. She certainly had to see herself being knocked out over and over again on TV. She couldn't avoid that, even if she was trying. She turns on the TV maybe to watch some dumb show, and I'm sure she saw it a few times by accident. So what is he talking about? Is she
actually a victim, though? Is she a victim because she lied to the NFL? She lied to the police.
A lot of people do when they get beat up, dude.
What happened?
Honestly, not to be the House liberal, but she is a victim because she did get knocked out.
And I go with Jimmy. She absolutely is a victim. I mean, I don't know what all the circumstances are in the end, but she certainly was a victim. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he punched her in the face and knocked her. Dude, there's no way you're not a victim.
He knocked her out cold. I mean...
She married him after, whatever, but that in that moment she was.
Yeah, maybe they.
I agree with that. You're right, Jimmy. In that moment, she was definitely the victim. That I definitely agree with.
And maybe they figured their shit out. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe you can move on with a relationship after something like that. I don't know. I'm not in their house, but maybe they did in some way find some kind of understanding through that.
See, can we always hear the cases about people who went back to a marriage where there was an incident like that, and it's bad and it gets worse? And I don't know any cases where somebody says, "Yeah, my husband hit me once. It was 1985, and it never happened again." So I don't know. I'm sure those cases exist, but we just don't hear them.
Yeah,
I know in my own family there was.
Hold on. Hey, Greg.
Sorry.
That's all right, Greg.
Let Jimmy just finish.
I
his
would say
point.
in my own family there was violence before I was born between my parents, and my father was drunk, and he would say that, and then got sober, and there was none. So there are cases where there's violence, and then it just stops when whatever the problem is, which in that case was booze, is removed.
And as an outsider, I cannot believe what you just told me, because they are like they're attached at the hip, and you could tell there's just love there.
They're very lovely people, but when people are drunk and
behind closed doors, I wonder what happens to this day.
they're really, I believe me, I've seen them behind closed doors, and God knows I've listened. They're just very normal. When they argue, it's very it's never anything major from what I can remember at all. So it's like meaning. Maybe Ray Rice, he's drunk and he does something stupid and maybe it never happens again. I mean, that stuff does happen.
I just hate people that look at issues it's either black or white. We're not in Ray Rice's house. Maybe they truly figured it all out.
Yeah.
But all these women's groups and stuff like, oh my God, let's send in the SWAT team. We got to save her. We got to rescue her. How do you know? How do you know how this played out with them?
What were you saying, Greg, too? You're right.
I made a really shitty joke. I'm not going to repeat it.
I honestly didn't hear it. I was just trying to finish my thought.
No, I was making a shitty joke, and your point was actually not only relevant, but, heartfelt.
Oh, who cares? You can make a joke, dude, please.
My terrible joke was simply, they generally do happen, only the wife killed the husband, which is why he never hits her again.
That's actually probably true in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing better than an abusive husband getting shot.
No, absolutely.
I will say that always does make me happy when someone, and there are places where the wife will get convicted. Oh, off subject, you know who died? And I got, I forget the guy's name. Is it Jordy? The guy who shot and killed the karate instructor, piece of shit who molested his son.
Oh, wow.
That guy died. His son writes me, and we've met at a show. The guy came to a show, and he didn't tell me who he was. So his dad just died. But sometimes when a victim strikes back, it's satisfying.
Right.
I don't know why we're off on that tangent.
All right, Greg. Thank you for your phone call.
Thank you, gentlemen, and I love the show. Haven't stopped listening.
Thank you, Pumpkin.
Thank you. We're doing all right, man. We're figuring this shit out. I appreciate that.
The way I like to see it is...
And I love Dan Soder. Fuck what all the haters say.
We like Dan Soder, too. Notice how I downgrade from love to like. We like Dan
Haters
Soder,
are going
too.
after Dan Soder? Is what? Really?
They go after everyone. It's just what they do.
That's ridiculous. Thank you, Greg.
Right.
It's like when there's a tsunami. It doesn't stop to think. It just rolls over everything.
Yeah. So that's what we have to say about Keith Olbermann. So if you want to keep tweeting them with intelligence, that I like those. I really do like those tweets better, although a nice little jab is fun to read as well.
I like hateful barbarism.
But I love seeing you hit him with some intelligence as well. It's obvious. He's a pompous douche, and I guarantee the tweets are getting to him. He acts like, I had fun playing with the Opie radio audience, did you? Yes. Called it batting practice or something before his show, his show. All right, Keith. Whatever, buddy.
Yeah. Go out and give another heartfelt speech.
Right.
Go out there and grovel again. We're dreadfully sorry.
Ugh.
Dreadfully sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Clinton.
Coming soon to the Opie and Anthony Network, it's the Jim Norton No Request Show.
That's me, Jim Norton, folks.
Play some Grateful Dead, man.
Jerry Garcia sat on a stool. He was awful.
Dude, can you play some Lenny Kravitz?
Come on, stop. Walks around with his dumb shades, and he's a hipster, and he stinks.
You request it, chances are he hates it.
Other bands are boring.
Nirvana.
Shut it, you dope.
Led Zeppelin.
Garbage.
You too.
I hate bandwagon bands like U2 that are going to sit there and preach politics.
It's all Ozzy, all the time.
He's one of the best live performers on earth. He's dyslexic. It doesn't matter. He's a maniac on stage. That's the beauty of him.
Remember, if Ozzy didn't sing it...
One-word answer. Awful. Awful. You stink. Horrible.
My boyfriend's going to kill us both unless you play Limp Bizkit.
So what? Let him do it. Oh, brother.
Weekday mornings from 3 to 3:15.
Fine. I don't care.
I was walking down the street, and some construction guy was shouting at me, "Hey, show me your cans." So I did. And he plummeted 17 floors and was impaled on a forklift. But my tits looked great.
Please, wow responsibly. A public service announcement of the Opie and Anthony Show.
It's the O&A virus.